up, everybody? What you been up to out there? What you doing? Thanks for taking some time out and listening, and hopefully this will be fun, enjoyable, and enlightening too as well. I'm gonna be honest with you, it might take a little minute because I actually came up with a lot of good info, and this is a heavy subject that many of us have dealt with and dealing with anxiety and things of that nature. A lot of us are, entrepreneurs out here, and also have families and trying to maintain, regular life obligations and things of that nature, and then on top of everything going on in the world. But honestly, it's really no different than a lot of stuff that's been going on for centuries. It's just, media kind of amps everything up. But I know so many of us deal with a lot of anxiety and things of that nature, so I just figured, hey, why not come up with some material, some of these articles that we're doing here, to help deal with like the mental side to everything. Because as we are going for our dreams, as we are constantly trying to land deals, make money, and things of that nature to take care of ourselves and our families, we have to make sure that we also take care of our minds. Because, buddy, I'll tell you, if you don't take care of your mind, I don't care how much money you make, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And especially with things that that's been going on lately, and you see people that make, you see millionaires doing crazy stuff. So then you're wondering, okay, what's going on in people's minds to make them click and push them over the edge? Well, in essence, when you really think about everything that's bombarding us, oh my gosh, man, I appreciate you all. Oh, I see you out there, Cammy, Stephanie, man, Heather. My gosh, thank you, y'all. Corey, Heather, man, all them, everybody's joining me. I really appreciate you all. Wow, this is awesome. Okay, so let me stay on track, because one thing about me, you will know, is that I can get like super duper crunk. And I'm trying to make sure I stay on track, and I know how I get the vibing off your energy out there, because y'all will get me crunk, and then I'll be on here going on this thing for about 2 hours. So I don't want to take up all of your time, because you know how I can get. I know how some of you can get, and we'll get crunk up. So, but let me stay on track. So what I was talking about is, and by the way, if you're just joining us, this is basically Yobis One Articles for Success, and it's basically just articles we'll be reading to people about different subjects and things of that nature, helping us all, in our pursuit of, love, joy, peace, success, happiness, and things of that nature, and also helping us out in our businesses and our life and our families too as well. But today we were talking about how to overcome anxiety, and how a lot of people actually are addicted to anxiety. And what we were covering is how so many people are bombarded, how so many of us are bombarded with so much negative news all of the time, that we sometimes don't even know that we can actually become like subconsciously, mentally conditioned to actually be addicted to anxiety. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, and as I've been thinking about it lately for the last few months myself as well, through observation, through a lot of clients that I talk to, and just regular people, I love talking and picking people's brains and seeing why we think what we think sometimes. But what I'm seeing through observation is we're not necessarily realizing that we actually are addicted to that feeling. Because to even say that, that sounds crazy. How in the world can you be addicted to anxiety? Well, think of it from this perspective. Your brain has tons of different chemicals rushing through it, and your body has tons of different chemicals and things of that nature. Okay, so those chemicals is what sometimes determines how you feel. Well, let's just say you're an adrenaline junkie, and you like roller coasters or jumping out of planes or whatever. Well, doing something, that exhilarating makes your body go into this rush state, like this chemical rushing state. You got, dopamine and endorphins, all these things of that nature. But trying not to get so super duper scientific with it, but basically, you know the rush when you feel it because you just feel so exhilarated. Well, the crazy thing is that listening to negative news all of the time, or listening to negative people, or even yourself saying negative things, although you think you may just be speaking the truth and standing for this or whatever, which is necessary in itself, it's not like demeaning that. It's just understanding that your language can actually be negative without even knowing it, and actually causing the same chemical rush and the same feelings that you get from something that's fun and exhilarating. Now, your brain is not recognizing it, you're not recognizing it, but your body is, and your mind is. Thus, your brain will eventually pick up on it, and it starts becoming stressed out. So that's, with all that said, that's basically where we get to the point of how we all can become addicted to anxiety, because we get so used to that feeling and just feeling it's like just feeling anxious so much. And after after you done live this way for so many years, you don't even really think that it's any different. So I just figured that I will come research some of these articles, and hopefully this will help. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even just flash a little glimmer of light into the direction of seeing how we all go through this and not even recognizing it sometimes, and actually how to fix it and overcome it, and be more positive in anything that you do, in anything that you see, and try to become the solution instead of always talking about the problem. Because I hear we talk about the problem so much, and everybody knows the problem and everybody has to discuss the problem, but in essence we're not talking about solutions, and we become experts at the problem and discussing the problem, but not becoming experts at problem solving. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully this will help out, and hopefully get something out of this, and hey, we'll see what happens. So the first article is going to be titled "Why Some People Choose Anxiety." And this sounds kind of crazy and contradictory, because many of us will be thinking to ourselves, why in the world would somebody choose anxiety? Why would we choose anxiety? And I think we have to realize it's one of them things that we choose without even realizing it. So this one, Why Some People Choose Anxiety, was written by Casey Schwartz. And it's a great article discussing how we're choosing anxiety without even realizing it. And it starts off with, oh, thanks, Cameron, appreciate it. And you're awesome too, I hope you know that. So the article starts off with, considering that anxiety makes your palms sweat, your heart race, your stomach turns somersaults, and your brain size up like a car with a busted transmission, it's no wonder people reach for Xanax to vanquish it. But in a surprise, researchers who study emotion regulation, meaning how we cope or fail to cope with the daily swirls of feelings, are discovering that many anxious people are bound and determined, though not always consciously, to cultivate anxiety. And this is what I'm meaning by like you're actually cultivating it without even realizing it, and not even consciously doing it. It's not saying you're intentionally trying to stress yourself out. It's just one of them things that comes subconsciously without us even knowing it. And we're contributing to our own anxiety in how we are looking at things, how we're digesting them, how we're observing them, and how we are internalizing the things that we see. Now, this is not meaning that the things that we see are not terrible. There's plenty of terrible things. Oh my gosh, you see terrible things all the time. But you have to put forth more of an effort to not internalize the very things that you see that are terrible, because then you yourself start acting out those things because you're feeling that hurt and pain so much. I'm not saying you're not going to hurt. I mean, that's just part of life. You're going to feel the pain. But try not to let it consume you so much that you start hurting people and disguising it as telling the truth, or disguising it as actually trying to help. And that's what I mean by, and also watching what we say, because our language and our words definitely can determine how we feel. Because the things that we're saying out of our mouths are the very things we're hearing first. I mean, you're hearing it first before the other person, because you're the one saying it, and it's coming from your mouth, it's coming from your body, it's coming from your energy. And that very energy is what's going to make you feel how you feel without even knowing that you're the one making yourself feel that way. My gosh, and I mean, we all do it. I do it all the time, and I'm constantly trying to challenge myself to get better at it too. It's not saying to not tell the truth. It's just saying switch up the language a little bit. Instead of saying this is a terrible thing in my life, you can switch it up simply by saying, well, this is a little bit challenging, because it is. Both are valid, but one actually helps give you a little bit of hope inside your own mind, and not looking at it as such an absolute terribleness that you can't overcome. So the article continues on by saying, the reason studies suggest is that for some people, anxiety boosts cognitive performance, while for others it actually feels comforting. My freaking goodness, this is exactly it. Like, it actually, a lot of us can become, once again, so addicted to the feeling of anxiety because it's a chemical rush. Like, think about this. Think about this for a minute. When you get into a altercation or a debate, let's just go with the debate. Not saying all of us are getting into violent altercations. Let's just stick with just straight debates. And you're telling the truth, you're making your point, and you fussing and da 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 da. Doesn't that create an actual chemical rush? Like, when you sit back and think of it, you really can catch yourself actually feeling a rush, and actually feeling a cognitive performance that you don't normally feel when you're at a regular level. Because everything is going faster, your mouth is going faster, your brain going faster, you're thinking faster, and it actually almost feels good. But in reality, you're actually stressing yourself out and not even realize it. Because after you do that for years, year after year, month after month, year after year, over time, you start finding yourself becoming the very thing that you're trying to stand against. And that's when a person can become negative and not even realize that they're negative. And then a lot of us, and I've done this before, you start sectioning yourself off and thinking everybody else is crazy. When in reality, we've made this wall and made everybody else the enemy and not even seeing ourselves. And so then we search out other people that sound just like us, and then we're just a bunch of people that's just sitting around each other fussing and complaining. And once again, with no solutions. But it feels good again. Once again, this goes back to the whole addiction to it. Like, your brain becomes addicted to, because it's the same chemical rush you get from doing something fun, like a roller coaster. Your brain is not determining the difference between the chemical rush and exhilarating rush from a roller coaster versus debating and fighting. It's the same chemical rush. So the article continues on with saying, in one recent study, psychologist Meyer Timmer of Hebrew University in Jerusalem gave 47 undergraduates a standard test of neuroticism, which asks people if they agree with such statements as, I get stressed out easily. She then presented the volunteers with a list of tasks, either difficult or easy, such as, giving a speech or taking a test or washing dishes, things of that nature, and asked which emotion they would prefer to be feeling before each. Now, the more neurotic subjects were significantly more likely to choose feeling worried before a demanding task. Now that's interesting in itself. Like they actually chose to feel worried before a demanding task. That was the more neurotic folks. Then the non-neurotic subjects chose other emotions. So through this, apparently, the neurotics had a good reason to opt for anxiety. It's almost like they had a good reason to choose anxiety. When Tamir gave everyone anagrams to solve, the neurotics who had just written about an event that had caused them anxiety did better than the neurotics who had recalled a happier memory. My goodness. So, man, let me digest that one for a minute. So, in essence, the neurotics who wanted anxiety, it's almost as if they basically did better than the ones who were thinking and recalling and thinking on happier memories. So let me think for an example. Let's just say you think about a kitty cat or whatever. That was just the cutest little kitty and all that. Now when you're thinking about a cat, it makes you might calm. Oh well, let me just say this. This goes for people who like cats, but or let me go with something more neutral like a teddy bear. So a teddy bear, if you think on a teddy bear, and it's calming you down, it's really it's like almost like a neutral feeling. It's just a teddy bear. It's a cute little teddy bear. Okay, whoop-de-doo. And you think on a teddy bear before you're about to do something demanding. Well, that teddy bear doesn't really crank you up. Let's just say a football game. You're not going to think about a teddy bear before a football game. But a lot of people would choose something that causes anxiety. It could be something as simple as, I don't know, going to chop wood with an axe or something. I don't know, but just something kind of random, which is something totally different from a teddy bear. But the person would choose to chop a freaking tree down, which is way harder than looking at a teddy bear, before a football game, because it riles you up. It riles the person up and they feel better about going into the football game. Now apply that to everything that we're doing in our lives, which is unnecessary because all of us not playing no freaking NFL football. So we don't need to be hyping ourselves up like that. But it's almost as if we're staying in that state of mind continuously all day because we're taking in negative news, we're taking in negative gossip, we're taking in negative posts all day, we're debating all of this stuff going on all day. Believe me, I'm not saying this stuff doesn't need to be talked about or discussed. I'm just keeping this in a context of how you are crazy. You like cats. I like cats now, Cammy, but there's plenty of people like cats. You so crazy, girl. So okay, but think about this in the context of we're taking in all of this stuff, and we think it's making us feel good because it's giving us that chemical rush. But in essence, it's stressing us out. I mean, I use this example all the time when I'm talking to people. As much as I love roller coasters, which is one of the funnest things to do in life. Like, I love roller coasters. But that same exhilarating rush and stress is still stress on my body and my brain and my mind. Regardless of how much I love it, regardless of how fun it is, regardless of how it feels, there's still too much to do every day, all day. Imagine riding a roller coaster 10 times a day. I don't give a crap how strong you are. That is going to stress you out. And that's the reason. Well, that's basically the reasoning to how we're not seeing how we are actually choosing anxiety. Because it's the same as me choosing to ride a roller coaster 10 times a day because I like it, because it feels so good and it's just fun, but it's stressing my body out, stressing my mind out. Then I become neurotic and not even realizing it. So back to the article, when it's continuing on by saying, in other people, anxiety is not about usefulness, but familiarity. Finds anxiety psychology researcher Brett Ford of the University of Denver. He's the one that really pretty much picked up on this. Then she measured the trait emotions, feelings people tend to have most of the time. Those are called trait emotions. And they measured the trait emotions of 139 undergraduates using a questionnaire that lists emotions and asks to what extent you feel this way in general. She then grouped the students into those characterized by trait fear, which is basically those who tended to be anxious, worried, or nervous. Trait anger, which is chronically angry, irritated, or annoyed. And then you have trait happy, which is the cheerful, joyful gang. So basically separated them all. And then 6 months later, the volunteers returned to Ford's lab. This time she gave them a list of emotions and asked which they wanted to experience. Not surprisingly, the cheerful bunch wanted to be happy, but in a shock of those who think anyone who is chronically anxious can't wait to get their hands on some Ativan, those with trait fear and they wanted to be worried and nervous, even though it felt subjectively unpleasant. So basically the trait angry students tended to prefer feeling the same way too. They wanted to be angry. Wanting to feel an emotion is not the same thing as enjoying that emotion, points out neuroscientist Kent Bridge of University of Michigan, who discovered that wanting and liking are mediated by two distinct sets of neurotransmitters. So basically, in some cases, the need to experience anxiety can lead to a state that looks very much like addiction to anxiety. There are people who have extreme agitation, but they can't understand why. They therefore latch on to any cause to explain what they're feeling. That rationalization doubles back and exacerbates the anxiety. Some people, he adds, get addicted to feeling anxious because that's the state that they've always known. If they feel a sense of calm, they get bored. They feel empty inside. Now think, okay, let me pause for a minute. Let me just pause for a minute. Yes, Heather, you're exactly right. Stepping out of the comfort zone, people could definitely feel anxiety by doing that too as well. Now think about this last statement. Some people get addicted to feeling anxious because that's the state that they've always known. And if they feel a sense of calm, they get bored and they feel empty inside. That is absolutely amazingly insightful. Because I think once we, oh, by the way, that's around the end of the article, of that first article. But that, my God, man, that in itself really pretty much sums up why and how and the reasoning behind why many of us choose anxiety and not even really realizing it. Let me repeat this again. Some people, he adds, get addicted to feeling anxious because that's the state they've always known. And if they feel a sense of calm, they get bored and they feel empty inside, as if they want to feel anxious. And when you really think about that, so a lot of us have been filled with so much anxiety for so long and gone through this so much, and just, if we just stay tense and crunk up and just, I don't know, man, going, that if we do calm down, we actually get bored. So that boredom and that emptiness almost tricks you into craving anxiety, because that feels exhilarating. And that's where the things like debates come in, because it gives you a rush. And then you get so caught up in it, in the rush, that you end up losing focus of the point. You end up fussing and just going on, and not even really realizing that you're actually going to give yourself a headache. And you're becoming just like the same person that you was trying to stand against. And that's how we become addicted to anxiety without even realizing, and absorbing all of this without even realizing it. So I'm going to go over this second article by just pointing that out. I'm hoping that we can just see that first part and see what's going on inside of our minds and our subconscious level, because we're not conscious of these things. It's not like we're just intentionally choosing to be stressed out. We're just not realizing or knowing how to separate that feeling of exhilaration from something positive versus feeling the exhilaration from something that's causing us anxiety and feelings of stress, because we're just bombarded with it all day anyway. And that's a trick in itself, but I don't want to get off into all this conspiracy theory stuff and all that, but I might save that for another time. But I'm going to move right along to some solutions to it, actually. Some solutions to how, to really watch yourself when anxiety is starting to creep up on you without even realizing it. Because sometimes we wait till it's too late, then we're stressed out, then we got headaches, and we're sitting at home crying to ourselves sometimes at night. I've done it plenty of times myself too as well. I mean, it just is what it is, just being honest. Because you just see so much and you just feel so overwhelmed. And we don't have to internalize all of this. There's only so much that you can do. As long as you do your part, that's all that counts. As long as you're doing your part. So we're going to go over a few little tips on how to stop worrying and to overcome anxiety. And this is an article written by Ellen Henderson. And she has a PhD. And this is a pretty good article that really points out a few ways of overcoming worrying and anxiety. So she starts off with questions you have to ask yourself when thoughts start to spin out of control. Considering that anxiety makes your palms sweat and your heart race and your stomach turn somersaults and your brain size up like a car with a busted transmission, it's no wonder people reach for the Xanax to vanquish it. And this is just the realization that let me think how to word it. It's really the realization of trying to figure out how to become more. That's it. Basically, become more aware of ourselves. Because a lot of us, as we go throughout this life, we're not even aware of how unaware we are of ourselves sometimes. And that in itself is what makes us kind of like repeat it. It makes us repeat the things over and over of the very things that we're trying to stop inside of ourselves. So she points out how she gives this one tip. Basically, she's saying she wants to explore two big beliefs linked to anxiety. The two aren't necessarily conscious either as well. They're more of an invisible undercurrent. And this is what I mean by the things that we're not even aware of. It's like an undercurrent of things. It's a subconscious thing that we're just not even aware of. But like a riptide, these waters may be dangerous or even pull you under. So she points out two great tips that really help out. And I hope this really can help out some of us out here. And honestly, while I'm reading this to you guys, shoot, I'm applying this to myself too as well. Number one, the worst case scenario is sure to happen. So you think about those type of things. Like, think on this. The worst case scenario is sure to happen. Okay. And you play that out in your head. You probably know someone who can find the silver lining in any misfortune. A loved one dies, and they are thankful the person's suffering has ended. They've been fired, but relish the opportunity to start anew. On the flip side, you probably also know someone who complains about everything. The beach was too sandy. The sangria was too fruity. And you probably know someone who can imagine a worst case scenario for any situation. You have a headache. It's a brain tumor. There's traffic. Your boss is sure to notice that you walk in late. Vacationing in Cancun for a week. If you drink the water, you'll be sick the whole time. And you know those type of people. I'm sure you do. We might have been some of those type of people. But this is the dubious power of anxiety. The ability to amplify a situation that's anything from ambiguous to slightly threatening into a full-on catastrophe. Sometimes this is useful. You see your kids hauling a toboggan up the playground slide and assume they're not just planning on enjoying the view from the top. But other times it's not so useful. We may foresee big problems in small challenges. You make a mistake at work and dread that you'll get fired. Your partner doesn't respond to a text, so they must be mad at you. Sometimes we're not even sure what we're anxious about. We're simply convinced that something bad is going to happen. What should you do when your brain makes Mount Everest out of a molehill? You challenge it. When a worst case scenario starts to freak you out, ask yourself how bad that would really be. In other words, are you truly facing a disaster of epic proportions? For example, what if we don't get any offers on the house? How bad would that be? Take a step back and think. It would be ideal. I'd have to rethink some financial decisions, but I could put it on the market again next year. See how you played it out? The second question to ask yourself is, what are the odds? How probable is it that you really have a brain tumor? Is it more likely that you're just stressed out or dehydrated? What are the odds that your partner didn't text you back because she's mad? Honestly, I mean, what are the odds of that? Is it possible she's just busy, or that he or she left her phone in the car? So you just think of things in that way. At least one of these questions, if not both, should address most of our anxious thoughts. So you try to always find the silver lining in everything. Don't always assume the worst all of the time. And then number two, I can handle it. Say things like I can't handle it. Like you can actually say to yourself, and it would be cool with saying you can't handle it. Because the second reason for anxiety is we think we're helpless. It makes sense. If we don't feel prepared, we become anxious. Anxiety makes us doubt our abilities. And so our fear feels like fact. We feel incapable, so we believe we must be incapable. We feel overwhelmed, so we must be. What's the best way to fight back when fear feels real? You challenge it. Your magic question here is, what could I do? Think of all of the resources you can turn to tackle anxieties that could become reality. Friends, family, inner strength, health insurance. I mean, just all type of different things, different ways to help you cope. How would you cope? What could you do? I mean, honestly, if you really had a brain tumor, even though you know it's probably just a headache, what would you do? You think about the things. Like you actually start thinking about solutions instead of the problems, basically. That's basically the gist of what she's saying here. You would find a good oncologist, take time off work, adhere to your treatments, and rely on friends and family. It wouldn't be a cakewalk by any means. It's not demeaning this at all. It would be really, really hard, yes. But the point is that there are things you can do. The situation would not be hopeless. And that's what really, gets us sometimes. But have to realize the situation is not hopeless. So it starts rounding off and ending with, thankfully, most of our worries aren't that traumatic. What if your vacation gets rained out? Okay, whoop-de-doo. What would you do, though? Get to know every museum in the city or buy a really big umbrella and go out in spite of the weather. But worried you'll never find the right partner. Well, what would you do? Enjoy your life. Think about that. A lot of us worry that we'll never find the right partner. And that's understandable. I get it. But once again, it asks, what could you do? Still enjoy your life. Spend time getting to know people and trust that the right person will come along eventually. And if they don't, you still have built a great life with a wide circle of friends. Your worries may seem overwhelming, but you can cope with pretty much anything life throws at you, from curveballs to screwballs. So, you are so crazy. Well, everybody's not going to stay single, Kevin. Gosh, you are a mess. But the point of this is basically not focusing on the anxiety all of the time, not thinking you're helpless all of the time. Because it's basically not true. There's actually a bonus statement at the end of this. It says, while hunting anxiety in the wilds of your brain, look out for the distinctive plumage of a question mark. Anxious statements are almost always phrased as questions. What if? What then? What now? And questions are slippery. They're hard to combat, and the answer is almost always negative. When you catch yourself asking questions that begin with what if, well then change your question to a statement and then challenge it. For example, what if the plane crashes? It's hard to answer positively. Yeah, that's true. That would be a disaster, yes. But change the question to a statement. The plane is going to crash, and now you can tackle that by asking, honestly, what are the odds of that happening? And I think that really, really, really helps out with a lot of the anxiety that we go through. And to not stress out over this stuff. Because a lot of this stuff is not even going to happen. I used to hear an old saying, 95% of the things we stress out is not going to even happen. Excuse me. So it's really no point in even stressing out over it. I know this stuff is easier said than done. I get it. But my gosh, man, what in the world good is it doing you to constantly think on it? So I hope this has been, I know this has been long-winded. This one is a bit longer than the other ones, but this is something that I'm hoping that many of us can learn from, and myself too as well, because I'm talking to myself too as well, and hopefully maybe you can go back and listen to it later, and really get some key points out of it. Maybe see ourselves in it, be able to find some solutions in how we're thinking and the negative ways that we think without even knowing it. and find some solutions to our lives, to our anxiety, and hopefully be able to really live that life that God has given us to really have a joyful life. Have some fun, enjoy your family, enjoy doing your business, and helping others along the way too as well. But conquering that demon in your mind, those voices in your head that's just always constantly coming into agreement with the junk that we're hearing in the news. But thanks for your time. I know this one has been a bit long-winded, and maybe you can go back. I'll be reposting this, so you can go back and just listen to it every now and then. Pick out a few points and go back to doing what you're doing. Wash your dishes, dry your car, whatever it is that you're doing. Tend to the kids, go work, whatever it is that you're doing. Got to probably answer some emails, send out some emails, do some deals, do some posts. You know how it is in the business world. You know how a lot of us stay so busy doing stuff. So I definitely understand that. That's the benefit though of this online world and having all these type of like digital content where you can just keep going back to it whenever you have time and reposting and things of that nature. So, but I really appreciate you all. I know many of you had to go, and well, Cammy, you are just totally, girl. You do know you rock too, though. Like, you just awesome, and I really appreciate your feedback too, and your energy, and you keep doing what you're doing too, Cammy. Like, real talk. The brain chemistry and yes, like right. That's exactly what is really we have to become more aware of is our brain chemistry and the chemical side of our bodies. Because if we become more aware of it, then that way it won't control us. We can control it, because you're definitely affected by it more than no. You can't. What you're gonna do? Take your brain out, and then you think you're not gonna have a headache or nothing anymore. You're not gonna stress. Then you're gonna be dead. So, so basically, it's about learning yourself, learning how you work, learning how your brain works. We don't learn a lot of this stuff in school coming up about how our brain works. We learn how to run, we learn how to eat, we learn how to do our ABCs, we learn math, learn how to talk and things of that nature. But learning how your emotions, how your brain, how your mind works, and the triggers, that's very important, because people, I'm telling you, there are people out there that have studied this, and there's certain entities and systems set up that benefit from stressing you out. And if you become more aware of the triggers that stress you out, then that way you just have a better life. And you're able to teach your kids that, a lot earlier. And you're able to use things that people are stressed out about. For example, Facebook. People are so stressed out about Facebook and everything that's going on Facebook or social media, whatever. But it is actually a tool. If you become more aware of yourself and your triggers, you're able to jump into something like this on social media and use it for a business, use it for something positive, use it for something spiritual, use it for something that's in a more loving way. Because it doesn't control you. You control it. So that's it, folks. I really, really, really appreciate your time. And exactly, Cammy, you can control it and channel it forward and pass it on to others, and really inspire others too as well. So keep up the good work, everybody. Like I said, just go back and re-listen. Just have it playing. Maybe just want to keep it playing in the background. And hopefully you learn from them. I just really, really appreciate your time that you spent here. Because like I said, I know the most valuable thing that you have is time. And I really appreciate you spending your time with me. I really appreciate you spending time even more than money, because time is actually more valuable than money. So the mere fact that you all spent time with me, that actually means more than money. Now don't get me wrong, I definitely want us all to make some money together. Hey, let's do it. Let's keep doing our thing. But I really appreciate your time, folks. So hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed this reading and this discussion, this talk. And I just like to keep things kind of calm and chilled and connect with you all. And I want to listen to you all too. I want to know what questions you have. I want you guys to start inboxing me questions and things that we can talk about in the future. And I definitely want to start getting some of you guys on some interviews too, and get your take on some stuff. And let's keep this thing going and vibe off each other and share with each other some insights, because I know you all have some wonderful insights out there that you can share with everybody too as well. So be on the lookout, because I'm gonna be doing some more interviews with you all. Yeah, we're gonna get this thing to popping. So, but thanks for your time, and really be careful of what you take in your eyes and ears out here. As you are watching TV and listening to the radio, as you reading social media, listening to social media, and reading people's comments, be careful, because although people are quote unquote wanting to stand for the truth and all that stuff, be careful of getting so caught up in reading a lot of stuff and getting caught up into debates that stuff starts weighing on you and stressing you out without even knowing it. And you're so busy trying to get back to the discussion to make a point and to win the debate and prove the other person wrong and one up everybody, that you yourself is stressing yourself out. And I don't want that to happen, because this is a beautiful life that God has given us. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful world. It's got tons of tragedy that happens every day. Yes. But there's tons and tons of loving, positive, great things happening every day too as well. And if you focus on that more, you become it more. The more whatever you focus on, you become. So the more you focus on love, peace, joy, the love of Christ that He has for us, then you share that with others. You become it, and you're able to just start sharing it with others almost like effortlessly. And all of the negative stuff won't affect you. And you actually influence them to become more positive. And then it becomes a chain reaction of love and joy. So thanks, folks. Take care. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Go back and re-listen to this. I'll be reposting this, and I'm going to repost it in those groups too. Join those groups if you run across this and want to know where more material is. Go to the You Can Win Online group, or the Yobus One Entrepreneur Lifestyle group. And make sure you also go to the Yobus One store. It's an online store for entrepreneurs. It's tons and tons of great downloads and video downloads, audio downloads there that help us out in entrepreneurship, in life, health, family, all types of different subjects there. Just, basically attaining success, pursuing success in a holistic approach, with family and life and the spiritual side and the mental side and business. So definitely take a visit there, and you can also download a free copy of the Entrepreneur Mindset there too as well, or you can just go straight to it and put in I'mTiredOfWorking.com. That's I'mTiredOfWorking.com. If you don't mind, definitely download a copy of the free Entrepreneur Mindset audio there too as well. But I really appreciate you all. If you need any help, contact me, inbox me. And if you have anything you'd like to share, let me know so I can get you on and share it with people out there too as well. I know a lot of you rock stars out there doing stuff. No, you the rock star, Cammy. Jeb, I see you out there, Jeep. And but keep doing what you're doing out there. And also go to the YouTube channel. Got a YouTube channel too as well. Renew Opportunity. And let's keep going for it, folks. Let's keep going for our dreams and helping out others along the way. Because I always tell people, man, if you don't go for your dreams in life, somebody's going to hire you to help them build their dreams. So go for your dreams, folks, and help others go for their dreams too as well. So make sure you go to the Yobus One store, the online store for entrepreneurs, and look out for more articles for success from YobusOne.com. And I hope you guys really enjoy this and appreciate it. And I know I've really enjoyed just sharing ideas and tips and articles with you all too as well. And be careful what you take in your eyes and ears, folks. Love y'all. Take care. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day. And you guys know that you are the real rock stars out there. All right, holla, folks. Enjoy. God bless.